Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. I want to make an announcement about our Bible study since that got all messed up. I couldn't get back on. I got blocked from getting back on. So I ended up contacting StreamYard and they had to shut off the live stream. I couldn't get back on at all. So tomorrow I'm going to reschedule it because we never let the devil win. So I'm going to reschedule it for tomorrow, probably like around 11 or 11:30. So we'll do it a lot earlier in the day. It could be the same one. It might be a different one, but we'll definitely get it in tomorrow. So I'm sure many of you have heard by now that Donald Trump prevailed. He got a pretty big win with the Supreme Court in regards to the birthright citizenship. And you can best believe Donald Trump is going to get every last one of these folks the hell up on out of here. He going to get them all out. And see, I don't fully blame Donald Trump for what he's doing in regards to immigration. I do agree with him. I blame the Democrats and Joe Biden opening up the floodgates, and they knew what. And I'm sorry, y'all, but I really truly believe the Democrats were fully aware of what that Constitution say. Many of these people were local politicians before they went to Congress. Many of them are attorneys, so they know the law and they knew what that 14th Amendment said. And then they turned around and used it to justify bringing all of these illegals in here. And after looking at everything, I am convinced that Joe Biden and the Democrats brought all of these illegals in here just to undermine us. It was not for any other reason. It was just to undermine us. If you go back and remember what Joe Biden said during that Zoom call, he said, well, pretty soon you're going to have to go to the Latinos in order to get things done. See, that's what he wanted for us, y'all. Joe Biden wanted us to be so vulnerable that we would have to beg other groups if we needed something. That's the position they were trying to put us in by bringing all these illegals here. And you notice the biggest amount came from Latin America, and everybody knows about all the racism in Latin America. And see, another reason why I don't feel sorry for you immigrants is because every last one of you MFers came in here hating us. It didn't matter if you were from Africa, from the Caribbean, from South America. It don't matter if you came from Antarctica, green, whatever. Y'all all came in here hating us. That's why I have no regard for what's about to happen to you. And you can best believe Donald Trump gonna clean this place out of all of you. That's what they're gonna do. They want this country to look like it did probably between the 16 and 1800s, where it was primarily white, black, and the fake natives. And, I do agree with Donald Trump. These are not natives. These ones that are out here perpetrating as natives are East Asians that came here, but they're not real true natives. In fact, I saw a video today. A black woman was talking to this Native American on live stream, and she told him, we are the ones that are indigenous here. He had a meltdown on her. Oh, he went crazy when she said that. And I said, I part of me, I think many of them do know that they're not any original people here. How can the original people be Asians. Does this even make sense? That's nah, nah, mm-mm. No, absolutely not believable. But it is, for the most part, this government here in America that caused a lot of the confusion that we see going on today. They caused all of this stuff that's going on with immigration. That is 100% the fault of the US government. They created this monster. And now all I got to say to you Mexicans and everybody, I really is primarily y'all in the street. Y'all need to get out of the street. If the Supreme Court made a ruling, there is nothing y'all can do in them streets that's going to change it. This is not your land. The 14th Amendment that you were brought here on doesn't apply to you. And right now, legally, you don't have a leg to stand on. Y'all might as well get your asses the hell up on out of them streets from protesting. Legally, you have absolutely nothing to fight with. You don't have anything to fight with. So I don't know why you would be in the streets protesting. You really should be in the streets protesting in your country, wherever you came for. You go back there and y'all get in the streets and fight the government until you have things the way that you want it. But you don't come to another land and you're not legal here. And even a lot of these people that are naturalized, I don't believe they're going to be able to stay here either. See, the Democratic Party let them become citizens with the fake belief that the 14th Amendment applied when it never did. And like I said, I am convinced these politicians all knew. They just thought they wouldn't get caught. You know, you never had a president challenge that until Donald Trump came along. None of the previous presidents ever challenged it. Obama sure didn't. Bill Clinton, none of them ever challenged the 14th Amendment. Donald Trump, by far the only one. So that says a lot. Y'all can't hear me? Can y'all hear me? Give me a one if you can hear me. Okay. All right. I'm just checking because I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff going on these days. So, Loveline, thank you so much for the super chat. You deserve this. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for your support. So, y'all, we're going to listen to a few videos, starting out with the speech that Donald Trump gave after he won his victory with the Supreme Court. And then we'll move on to other videos that I have set up for you. Okay. But I'm going to start out with, I got a song that I think is appropriate for these times. Let's see here. The time of the Gentiles is over. Now, if you didn't believe that before, believe it now with this Supreme Court ruling and what Donald Trump is about to do with the 14th Amendment. The time of the Gentiles is indeed over, you know, and y'all, you think it was crazy up here with ICE before when Donald Trump put in the orders to just clean sweep them out of here. They are gone. It at this point, there's no point in them even coming back across the fence because they're not going to ever be able to stay here. Thank you again, Loveline Turner, for the super sticker. I deeply appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna play this song. It's kind of still in the preliminary stage, you know? I'm real picky. I'm real picky, and some of my songs that you heard, I had to redo some of them 5 or 6 times before I got it the way I wanted it. And this one, I probably will have to do maybe a few more times before I really like it, but it's still not bad. I'm gonna play it while I get everything set up.
I've been watching the signs, news on fire, war in the skies. They built a world on blood and lies, but now the truth won't hide. They sold a dream but stole the crown, told us we was lost, left us out. But I read the word and I can see they traded thrones and the time is ending. See, the time of the Gentiles is over. Clock ran out, truth coming in like thunder. No more doubt, ruled the world, but now the script flipped. Jacob rise, yeah, his word never missed. From the corners to the hills, awaken the seed. The remnant hear the call, yeah, we planted the tree. Now the fruit coming in, prophecy complete. Gentile time's up, take back your seed.
Yeah, they made their laws but broke the core. Put up flags that started wars. Mock the name that calms the seas, but every knee still gotta bow to the King of Peace.
Zion's heartbeat is rising loud. You can hear it in the streets and the crying crowd. From the sea to the coast, they're waking up. The wilderness over, y'all lifting us up. Gentiles is Ottawa. Rock ran out, truth coming in like thunder. No more doubt. They ruled the world, but now the script flipped. Jacob rise, yeah, his word never missed. From the corners to the hills, awaken the seed. The remnant hear the call, yeah, we planted the tree. Now the fruit coming in, prophecy complete. Gentile time's up, take back your seed.
Okay. Before we get started, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. This is gonna be the speech that Donald Trump gave after the Supreme Court ruling, so we're gonna start with this. Okay. What I'll do if you like my little test, song, what I will do, I will put it on my YouTube channel when we're done, and then you can go over and listen to it. It's called Time of the Gentile is Over. So, you can just go over there and listen, and I got a playlist that says music. All of my songs are in there. So you can play any one of the ones that I posted. And like I said, over the next couple of weeks, I will be doing more and more, posting more of the songs. I got quite a few of them done. So I'm glad you like it. And I hope you like the others that will be coming. All right. All right. So let's get started.
It's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades. And we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century, me. I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people. Thanks for this decision, and thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory. But I want to just thank again the Supreme Court for this ruling. It's a giant. It's a giant. And they should be very proud, and our country should be very proud of the Supreme Court today.
The chase.
Okay, so what you're about to hear next is the actual article that goes into more details on what this victory for Donald Trump means. And yeah, I'm sure he is plenty happy, because I think this is probably the biggest victory that he has gotten since he's been president. I don't even think he got a victory this big in his first term. So for him, it is a big deal. So I can understand why he feels the way that he does. All right, so let's get started. Supreme Court ruling expands Trump's power, and he intends to use it. The Supreme Court on Friday handed a significant victory to Donald Trump and future American presidents when curbing lower courts' power to block executive orders. President Trump was beaming as he addressed reporters at the White House briefing room podium, calling it a big, amazing decision, which the administration is very happy about. He said it was a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law. The court's decision not only impacts Trump's birthright citizenship order, but also emboldens him to enact many of his other policy actions that have been temporarily thwarted by similar injunctions. Impact on birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court has opened the door for the Trump administration to no longer grant automatic citizenship to everyone born on American soil, at least for the moment. Now the White House will have to implement its plan, which will be no easy task. On Friday, the nation's highest court allowed Donald Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship to go into effect in a month's time, while leaving room for lower courts to curb the impact on those who have standing to sue. States traditionally handle processing birth certificates, and many do not record the citizenship of the parents. Democratic-run state governments will be in no rush to do so, no matter what the Trump administration may desire. And Justice Amy Coney Barrett, writing for the majority, left the door open for states to make the case that a more broad block on Trump's birthright citizenship action is necessary. That sets up big legal battles to come. As the states see it, their harms, financial injuries, and the administrative burdens flowing from citizen-dependent benefits programs cannot be remedied without a blanket ban on the enforcement of the executive order, Barrett wrote. The lower courts should determine whether a narrower injunction is appropriate, so we leave it to them to consider these and any related arguments. President Trump described the court's decision on Friday as a giant win. He added that the birthright citizenship hoax has been indirectly hit hard, and that the decision would prevent scamming of our immigration process. Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi said on Friday that the Supreme Court will decide whether the U.S. will end birthright citizenship in October during its next session. Broadening presidential power. The court's decision to limit the power of lower court federal judges to issue nationwide injunctions will have immediate, wide-ranging consequences. Both Democratic and Republican presidents have often criticized what they say are ideological jurists in federal district courts who have been able to single-handedly block executive actions and even legislation passed by Congress. While doing away with automatic citizenship for the children of undocumented migrants born on U.S. soil is at the center of this high-profile case, there are a number of other actions taken by Trump in recent months that have also been held up by lower-level judges. From Trump's inauguration to April 29th, the Congressional Research Service counts 25 such instances. Following the court's decision on Friday, Trump told journalists, "We can now properly file to proceed with policies that have been wrongly enjoined." Lower courts have blocked the president's cuts to foreign assistance, diversity programs, and other government agencies, limited his ability to terminate government employees, put other immigration reforms on hold, and suspended White House-issued changes to election processes. With the Supreme Court's decision in this case, the administration is in a much stronger position to ask courts to allow it to push forward on many of these efforts. During the Biden presidency, conservative judges prevented Democrats from enacting new environmental regulations, offering student loan forgiveness, modifying immigration rules. Courts blocked changes to normalized immigration status for some undocumented migrants during Barack Obama's presidency as well, and prevented him from making more white collar employees eligible for overtime pay. In all these types of cases, courts will ultimately be able to step in and halt presidential actions that they deem illegal or unconstitutional. The Supreme Court, in its opinion, said the lower courts shall move expeditiously to ensure that, with respect to each plaintiff, the injunctions comport with this rule and otherwise comply with principles of equity. But that will come further along in the judicial process at the appellate and Supreme Court level. In the meantime, presidents, Donald Trump and his successors, whether they are Republicans or Democrats, will have more time and space to act. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just listen to some opinions on how people feel about this recent Supreme Court ruling. And we're going to listen to mostly it's our people that are talking about how they feel about this entire ruling. And I can tell you the majority are happy. They are happy. You know, some people have felt the effects of these immigrants a lot more than others. Now, I have to tell you where I am, we don't have a lot of immigrants here. We don't have it because the sanctuary cities are more north of where I live. So they tend to be in those areas like Newark, Trenton, up around the areas that are close to New York. Those are sanctuary here in my state. But down where I am, it's not really sanctuary. So it's really, I just bump into Mexicans like once in a blue moon around where I am. They're really not here in a big way. And I know that, some of y'all have had bad experiences with them. I've heard the stories online, and some people have felt the racism from them, and I have to tell you, I felt it a little bit from the Africans that I worked with, how they would not interact with any of us, but the white people in the office, oh, they were all up in their face, but they pretty much ignored the other melanated people that were in the office. I felt it in that way, but I've worked with some of them Arabs, but in all honesty, I can't even think of one Arab I had even a halfway decent relationship. I really didn't have much of a relationship with them at all. They didn't interact with me, and I didn't really give a crap, and I didn't interact with them. Same thing with the East Indians. There was a few of them that I interacted with because they were, around the management level. But other than that, it was not a lot of interaction with them, you know? So my experience might be a little different from many of you, but it was funny. People are online saying, well, what about Melania? If you take away citizenship. What about Melania? Donald Trump think anything that's foreign in his life is an exception. You watch. It'll be an exception for her. You know how it is. And barren. So don't hold your breath. And we do know many of these women have come here already pregnant. Some of them were due in, a few weeks or a few months just to have their babies on U.S. soil. And really, in reality, that should not be all it takes for somebody to be an American citizen. It really shouldn't be that way. And I do agree that other countries don't have this. So why do American have this floodgate open for everybody? If Joe Biden would have won another term, you can best believe they would have been flooding in here by the millions as we speak. So let me just get back to this so we can get started. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Wait, why did nobody tell me that birthright citizenship was meant for the babies of slaves? On the basis of that logic, we got to follow what Trump says, y'all. A lot of things have changed. If you don't have a musket, yeah, can't tell me about the Second Amendment. Baby, if you're not pouring in, and I mean pouring it in, shoving that stick down and ready to shoot, so no more blickies, the Glocks, you're going to have to put them down. Yeah, sorry about that, folks, but Trump daddy said it's no more. Birthright was meant for slaves, for babies of slaves. So I'm sorry. We really gotta start taking this stuff to heart now, because he knows so much about how this country was founded and everything. And honestly, at this point, we need to re-roll out the entire Constitution. Like, let's light this candle. Let's talk about the amendment number 8. We're supposed to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment, but every time Orange Guy gets on the screen, I'm feeling very cruel and punished.
Donald Trump just won one of the biggest wins that he's ever won. You ever notice that when Donald Trump tries to implement any of the policies that he ran on, some random judge from somewhere will just pop up out of nowhere and start interjecting with their ideas? Well, those days are over. The Supreme Court just ruled in favor for Donald Trump against all of these judges. So now Donald Trump can finally get more important policies passed in this country without any issue or blowback. One of them being birthright citizenship. A lot of people are very ignorant in this country. They don't even know why birthright citizenship was created. It was created to ensure equal rights to formerly enslaved people after the Civil War. Not for people to come to this country and use it as a finesse tool to become an American citizen. That is not why it was created. And it should have been gone a long time ago, if I'm being honest. Things are finally going to start getting done around this bitch. Even though Donald Trump has been doing a damn good job, considering that every time he tries to get any of his policies done, somebody over here pops up with how they feeling. Oh no, I have an idea, and that judge over there wants this, and that judge over there all of that's over. God bless America, man.
I agree with birthright citizenship. For so long, for so many decades, non-citizens have benefited off the backs of my people, my ancestors, Black Americans, the true Americans. Whether people want to hear that shit or not, we built the majority of America for centuries. I support what Donald Trump doing as far as getting these illegals out the country. I support Donald Trump for making it harder for people to become real citizens in America. If your ancestors didn't build America, you don't have a right, a free right, just to benefit off Black American benefits. So I do fully support what Donald Trump doing. If your parents not originally born in America, even if you born in America, you are subject to not being an American citizen. I'm sorry. But changes need to be made in America. This system needs to be reset. It never been reset before. All these foreigners getting these benefits for so long, when all these benefits should have been going to Black Americans. The very people, the soul of America, got treated last in line. My ancestors got treated the worst in all of America. So many parts of America was built by my Black people, Black Americans. So if anybody have a right to say they the real true Americans of this land, it's Black Americans. We are the original people in this country. So yes, I do agree with deportation. If you're not a real citizen, you don't deserve no food stamps. You don't deserve no free housing. You don't deserve to go to school. No, you don't. I don't care. I'm not apologizing for it. Benefits should go to real Americans first, whether they Black or white. Real benefits, real help, the soldiers of America should come first. The elderly of America, the older people should come first. The real children of America should come first. The real Americans, it's time for the real Americans to get all these benefits. because right now, these illegal immigrants need to get out of America. I don't care what people say. They talk about, well, they tearing up families. Well, how about for centuries when black children and black mothers and fathers got sold and they never seen their families again? What about the black families? What about the black men and black women that got hanged on many trees in the South, where families got broke for centuries? How about that? How about all the doing blood in the soil still today for centuries that black people have suffered and died in this very country that they built? So when they talk about, oh, this not right, how about for 4+ centuries, how black Americans was the most mistreated people in the world? No, if you're not a true birthright citizen, you need to get out of America. Me personally, I'm happy today. I support what Donald Trump did. These judges, they don't have the power to override Donald Trump. And I'm hoping that everything stand and go through, because at the same time, black Americans built pretty much 90+% of America and made this country into a superpower. Everybody have a great day.
Hey, tell me y'all heard the news about the Supreme Court passing the birthright citizenship. So y'all know what that means, right? No more of you immigrants benefiting off our inheritance, off the so-called black Americans' inheritance. Ain't no more free rides, no more government assistance, no more government checks and all these loans. That shit over with. That's supposed to be given to us. That's supposed to go to us. All these years. And I'm glad this is a beautiful time to be alive. Like I told y'all in the post I made a while ago that went viral. I told y'all Trump for the so-called black Americans. Y'all didn't believe me. But now y'all about to see. Watch how things finna change now that this birthright citizenship has been passed. And it proves that we have been here before anybody. Because why are we the only ones that the birthright citizenship was granted to? Like I said, a lot of y'all been hanging on us so-called black Americans for the longest. A lot of y'all been prejudiced against us. I guess that's the word. Call us lazy, call us that. Want to know why? Because you benefiting off our inheritance. And that shit over with.
Donald Trump is 100% standing on business with this Supreme Court ruling on the 14th Amendment. He says this was for the babies of slaves again. Check this out.
Through this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves.
Hey, Latinos for Trump. They're coming for your citizenship. They're coming for your citizenship. You better change that last name. You better become a Schwartz or a Stewart or a, whatever Euro last name you want to put on yourself. Because if you're a Gonzalez, a Ramirez, Hernandez, a Diaz, a Garcia, a Mendoza, a Solis, any Latino last name, they're coming for your citizenship. If you haven't been paying attention, the Supreme Court just agreed with the president and his cronies that the offspring of people who are not citizens do not belong as citizens. This is insane because this has already been embedded into the Constitution for a long time. So the fact that we're having this conversation in 2025 tells you everything that you need to know. They're not coming for just the criminals, as we have seen all over the streets. They're coming for the last names. They're coming for the pigmentation. They're coming for the accents. They're coming for the children of immigrants. They're coming for anybody that doesn't fit their Eurocentric agenda. And that is what you really, 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 really need to focus on. because if you don't look like them, you are not one of them. And remember that Stephen Miller is the one who is advising on everything. And as far as he's concerned, he's a 6'5" blonde, blue-eyed person. He's not, but that's all he wants around. Anyway, so I hope that that's what you voted for.
So I agree with the Supreme Court decision for the birthright citizenship. Now, essentially, what happened was the Trump administration, well, the Supreme Court decided that these federal judges, which Biden put in right before he left, don't forget that really wasn't Biden, it was whoever was running the country. So he put a bunch of those federal judges in to block the things that Trump would be doing in the future. Because why did you put 100 and something black? Now they ain't did that the whole time. 100 something black. See, they're using the race thing again. Black federal judges to stop him at every turn. Why would they do that? Anyway, so I agree that moving forward, birthright, I agree with it. Because you know what that means? That means people can stop coming over and taking advantage. And the thing is, people are so afraid to speak about the truth because they're afraid to be called a racist when it's not even that. Because when I talk, I'm not talking about just Hispanics. I'm talking about the Indians, the Middle Easterns, the Arabs, the Ethiopians, everybody. Okay? The white, whoever came over here. You can't do that in any other country. You can't just go over there, have babies, and be like, oh, they're a citizen now. That's no. You can't do that. So why would America allow it? And I say that's good because it frees up space, jobs, money, aid, so on, and programs, everything, even just classroom room. Because remember, it was like 32 people to a classroom at one point. So it frees up a lot of space for us who've been here to be able to have a more comfortable environment. And the reality is, a lot of these immigrants came over here and been getting everything handed to them for free because they're not a citizen. So they don't have a social security number. They don't have to report anything. They get Medicaid, Medi-Cal, whatever you want to call it. Free lunch. They get free tutoring. Um, Everything is done under the table. They know friends, family. They hook them up with jobs, pay them under the table so they're not paying taxes. They have food trucks. They have carts. They have all these things that's cash only, and they're getting everything handed down to them for free and tax free. And that's why they can come over here and be millionaires in a few years and build businesses and all that because there has been no proof of citizenship for years. So anybody, and I'm talking about any race that come over here and be like, look, we just came over here as immigrants and now we can do this and that. And it's like, yeah, because everything was handed to you. You have no one that is putting a forceful hand and putting roadblocks in your path to keep you from being successful. That's not our case. Now, we've had to fight. We have to fight literally for every little thing. And it's still not what it's supposed to be. But I'm in total agreement with it. Yes, it should be only us, descendants of slaves. But the realty is if we do that, everybody will have to go except for us. That's the realty. But of course, no one's going to go there for real. Maybe sometime in the future it'll happen. But the realty is, yeah, everybody would be gone. The country would be empty. Well, really wouldn't be empty. It'd just be us. But yeah, hopefully this ushers in the second Exodus, and I hope that's a real thing. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Um, Also, remember the only reason why we're going through any of this is because of the Biden administration and Kamala. Remember, Kamala was the border czar. Remember, and we're still missing those hundreds of thousands of children. Remember, and they're finding kids backpacks and shoes and bones and stuff in the desert. Remember, she'd never been to the border, but she's the border czar. Remember, okay. That's the real problem. Don't be mad at Trump, be mad at them. Now, look, listen. I don't agree with Trump on everything at all. I think he's good for the economy. Obviously, the economy stuff has been working. But I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he does, just FYI. But I do agree with this one. There has to be a limit. Has to be.
The USA has just banned birthright citizenship, at least in these 28 states, starting on July 26th. In the 6-3 court ruling, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Donald Trump's ban on birthright citizenship. Now, the reason why it's not the whole country is because these states right here, the ones that are not in red, currently have pending litigations and lawsuits against Donald Trump. But regardless, starting July 26th, if you're born in any of these states in the red, you are not eligible for birthright citizenship. So if you plan on having kids or are going to have a kid in the near future, rethink where you're going to give birth. My next message is for Latinos for Trump. We all know that many of you guys are recipients and beneficiaries of birthright citizenship. Many, if not most, Latinos for Trump have undocumented family members or undocumented parents. Although this might not affect you right now, you're next on the chopping block. But regardless, maybe the USA has the president it deserves. And I hope that everybody that voted for that man is happy for what they voted for. I'm just genuinely grateful and happy that I don't live in the US. But anyways, let me know what you guys think.
All right. Well, I sure won't be sad to see them go. I won't be sad to see them go. And, I think if they would have came over here a little differently, perhaps I would have sympathy. But no, y'all came over here nasty. So, hey, you can deal with it yourself. Maybe this will finally shut down all of these Mexicans that keep getting on videos trying to guilt trip us in going out in these streets. It should quash that. Number one, you don't have a voice. And then some of them are talking about they going to sue. How you going to sue and you're not a citizen here? How you going to sue the government? You're not even a citizen here. No, I'm going to repeat this again. You need to get out of these streets from protesting. And if you're going to think about something, try to think about how y'all going to get out of here. Because you can still leave on your own. ICE don't have to drag you out of here. And if you remember, Donald Trump got these third countries that they can send you to instead of your home country. And he's going to do any and everything to get y'all out of here. Yeah, he going to weaponize what he got. You can best believe it. But y'all can't win no case against this government, and you're not even a real citizen here. So once he deals with the birthright citizenship and get all of y'all out of here, because he's going to get the naturalized ones out of here too, because they had no business becoming naturalized up in here. So all of you are going to be going. All of you going to be going. And it ain't no leave and then slip back in the country in 2 weeks. It ain't going to be none of that, because you're never going to be eligible to be here in the first place. So, hey, this is the one thing I do agree with Donald Trump. Yes, everybody, Isaiah 13, verse 14, everybody will go back to their own people and their own land. And you can best believe anything that's written, it will happen. Yes, indeed, it will. Yeah, well, they are arresting them, Brother Sly, up at the courthouse. So, ICE is right there at the courthouse waiting for them to walk out of the courtroom, and they nab them right there. So I don't know why some of them are talking about they gonna sue. Sue who? You ain't even supposed to be here. Who you gonna sue? You know what I mean? It's for real. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Donald Trump is going to be dealing with all of these sanctuary cities. They're going to be defunded from what he was saying. all of these sanctuary cities where they got funding from the US government because of the immigrants. Can you imagine? They got all of our money, y'all. And we said that when they came over here and Biden administration was just shelling out all of these governors and these mayors. They were shoveling all kinds of money to them people, and they never should have gotten a dime. They never should have gotten anything. So, y'all, yeah, white people are the biggest illegals sitting up in America. Their butts are illegal too. You came over here and stole the land. How can you be legal? If anything, they're the ones that should be walking around with a green card. So, y'all, we are technically the only ones that are real citizens, and now that even Donald Trump said he's going to get these people off of these reservations too, because he said they are not the original natives in the land, and he's going to get them off of the land. If you go on TikTok, a couple of them had made videos. They got notices in the mail that ICE could come on to those reservations and they can be deported. So even they're not safe. Not anymore. Mm-mm. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude again. I'm going to set up the Bible study probably between 11 and 11:30 tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. And also, I just want to say this. Anybody that is ordering, as long as you get your order in before midnight, your order will go out on Sunday. Our UPS store stays open 7 days a week, and I usually will mail stuff off and get it to them on Sunday. So as long as I get your order before midnight, it will go out on Sunday. And the 4th of July, I will be doing another sale. So I will get the flyer and post it on the community tab with the promo code and everything that you'll have to use, for the discount. So I'll try to do that either Monday or Tuesday. And I believe the 4th is like Thursday. So I might do a Thursday and Friday sale at 35% off. So it'll give you a chance to, rack up on some of your favorite things. And yes, I will be bringing back the butter and the botana oil. I just don't like mailing those things, and the pomade. All of that will be back. I just don't like mailing those things when a heat wave is going on because it will melt. So I want you to be able to use the entire jar, not half of it because it melted. I don't want that. So, y'all, I will see you live tomorrow. And as I said, I will get that song over on my channel, and that way you can, listen to the music again. How you doing, True Royal? We're getting ready to leave. All right. Oh, 5 grandbabies at your house. Oh, wow. You got your hands full. Okay. So, y'all, have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Shalom, family.